After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll repeat what I've heard. If you've not acknowledged them, please try again. If you wish to return to call in, I will be calling at the end of the UK and international sections. So I'll now begin taking check-ins to the net as usual in call sign number order. For any stations with figure 8 in their call wishing to check in, please call now. This is for an RC. For an RC, Golf Kilo, Lima, Charlie. Good afternoon, Doug. Greg, sorry. In and out this afternoon, Greg, KLC. Golf 8. Echo Yankee, G8EEY, name is Mike. Good afternoon, Greg. I'll stay with you. G4RC, so I've got Phil Golf Kilo, Lima, Charlie, good afternoon to you, and called in and out, and Mike, Golf 8, Echo Yankee, go get first. Hold them when we hit the main list. Any other rates, please? G4RC, over. G4RC, and I think so it's 7. Stations 7, figure 7 in their call time, please. G4RC, over. G4RC, second call, 3 stations, figure 7 in their call time, please go ahead. G4RC, over. G78, call 7 and Echo Hotel. Mike 7, Alphabet, good afternoon, Greg. Can you help me out today, please, Greg? G4RC, okay, good afternoon, Greg. What's November Echo Hotel? You're staying with Hans Dave, Mike 7 Alphabet, Oscar, good afternoon, Dave, and copy in and out. Okay, any 6s, please. Stations figure 6 in the call time, please go ahead. G4RC, over. Golf 6, Echo, no traffic today, go in and out, please, Greg. G4RC, good afternoon, Chris. Golf 6, good afternoon, Echo, copy in and out. Any other 6s, please. G4RC, over. G4RC, nothing heard, so that's a 5. Stations figure 5 in the call sign, please go ahead. G4RC, over. G4RC, nothing heard, so that's 4. Stations figure 4 in their call sign, please. G4RC, over.
G4 Kilo India Lima, Philip Southside.
R4 Kilo Uniform India. G4RC, so good afternoon, Philip. Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, staying with me, and Trevor, Golf 4 Kilo Uniform Juliet. As you can see in the log, you had a lot of audio dropouts on that one. Any other 4s, please? G4RC, over. G4RC, nothing heard, so that's 3. Stations figure 3 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4RC, over. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-ray, Ian. Golf 3 Victor Hotel, Bruce Winchester. Where it's sunny and 15 degrees. In and out of the South Bay Group, Mr. Well, D3 VEH. G4RC, good afternoon, Eden Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, staying with me, and Christoph Reed X-Ray Hotel, popped in and out, and thanks to the weather report, it explains why Bill did ask for some extra money today by the sound of it, calling it a pub. Okay, any other threes, please? G4RC, over. G4RC, nothing heard, so let's have twos. Station 2 in their call sign that includes you, it's immediate twos, please call now, G4RC, over. G4RC, second call for this station speaker 2 in that call sign, please go ahead. G4RC, over. And it's 1, station figure 1, figure 1 in that call sign, please go ahead. G4RC, over.
RAYNET-UK. Name's Adrian.
G4RC, good afternoon, Adrian, Golf 1, Lima Tango Kilo. And the other ones, please, G4RC, over. G4RC, nothing heard. So here we go for the Mike Zero stations, if any regional secretary identified, please go ahead now. G4RC, over.
Zero, JSA, Alan, East Sussex.
Mike Zero, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, Drew, West Ellen.
Mike Zero, India Tango, Mike Andy, with Shirley, Mike Zero, Whiskey X-Ray Golf in Cornwall, in and out, thank you, lady.
Mike Zero, Tango, Golf Charlie, David, E7, in and out, please, Greg, over.
Mike India Zero, Mike Sierra Oscar, Northern Ireland, and Night Bay.
G4RC, okay, there's a good crop to start with. So, Alan, Mike Zero, Juliet Sierra Alpha, good afternoon to you, and Mike Zero, Mike Foxtrot Sierra Drew, also staying with me. But Mike Zero, India Tango, Mike Andy, Mike Zero, not wrong, Whiskey X-Ray Golf, Shirley, and Mike Zero, Tango Golf, Charlie David, and Mike India Zero, Mike Sierra Oscar, all in and out. Okay, thanks for that. Any other Mike Zero stations with any regional secretary identified, please? G4RC, over. G4RC, there is Golf Zero stations with any regional secretary identified, please call out. G4RC, over.
Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Good afternoon, Greg. My name is Andy. Right, temperature, no traffic today, so in and out, please, over.
G4RC, good afternoon, Andy. Golf Whiskey Zero, Juliet Lima X-Ray, copy this in and out. So let's have Any UK stations who missed their turn to call in, please call now. 249RC, over.
Right, 0, Tango Delta November, good afternoon. Hello, please.
G4RC, good afternoon, Steve, Turkey 0, Tango Delta November. Okay, any international stations, any international liaisons, usually notified out of Norway, are in Ireland, Aries in Slovakia, and so on. Please call now, G4RC, over.
Lima Alpha 6 in your mic, name is Hans, in and out.
G4RC, good afternoon, Hans, from the office of India Mike, copy you in and out, good to hear you. Okay, anybody UK or international who's missed their turn to call, please call now, G4RC, over. G7 CLY test. So, as I try and three fingers type into the log. So, today's net, as usual, with this standard warning, is being live streamed by Graham to 798 to YouTube today. Past live streams and recordings are available by searching P798, that's called 7 November Echo Hotel on YouTube. Apologies for the lack of streaming last week, but as the preamble, as this net's for testing equipment, and a lot of things happen when you lose something too. Okay, the theme, noting today was busy for RAYNET events, but from what I've seen of the various half marathons from sort of Staffordshire south, the weather wasn't particularly favourable from what I've seen in initial reports through Facebook. So I'm wondering if anybody was out on an event today and got the observations. And finally, some progress on higher power temporary repeater call signs. RSGB are getting some capacity to deal with new requests, mirroring my own experience of the number of requests for 5 to 25 units, just dropping to just one today. As kind of expected, their system doesn't work well with bidirectional repeaters that transmit on both sides. So we're waiting for their database manager to come up with what they need for us to make it work. And then I'll figure out whether or not it's a call sign and then via the RSGB route, or whether I have to collect all the information and submit it through. Data calls seem to have been forgotten, but since we generally use data on the existing well-known frequencies for the PRS, for example, this will require more of a coordination handshake between us and the RSGB to make things work. So my conscience reminds me of this on a daily basis to progress it. Right, with that, let's go down the list and see what we've got in the rest of the world. Magical Flight Echo Echo Yankee. Go ahead, please. This is G4 and I'll see you.
G4 NRC from the 8EY. Missed the first part of your comments. Saw the Kiev come up on the dashboard, but no audio to speak of, but that may be a problem on my end. Weather here, 11 centigrade, 1012 millibars, 90%, no, 97% relative humidity, and 75% cloud cover at 6 octaves. 9 miles per hour, wind from 203 degrees. No events here at the moment, so the somewhat drizzly, cool at night weather shouldn't have affected anybody in this part of the world. Yeah, be interested to see what comes out with the crossband side of higher power. I've been doing some experimenting, demultiplexing the output of a dual band radio, so in order to be able to reduce the ERP on 77s. Seems to work the way I ended up, but it is a bit of a mess really, considering the amount of equipment that is now available that can do the job without any intervention, but now might need intervention in the future. From G8EEY.
Golf 8 Echo Yankee, G4 RC returning. Okay, yeah, this is part of the formal deals placing the actual bar radio should be relatively easy to split. I'm going to two separate antennas, one of which can be gain and the other which could be an ordinary dipole, but that does make the hardware a little harder on the top side. But yes, on the story it is unfortunate that as things got tweaked with power levels, they went for some non-standard power levels in some places. However, as always, I point out, please do check your coax losses and connection losses and everything else accordingly. Right, with that, that's Graham. All 7 November Echo Hotel, G4 and RCO. Hello, G4 and RC, G7 on the H, just good afternoon, Greg, good afternoon to all on the net. Apologies, we've just missed the beginning of the net. While setting up the stream, but all good fine now, and the technical issue last week has been resolved. So nothing to report really from this end. So back to you guys, and you can drop me out the next round if it's okay. G4 and RC, G7 H. G7 and the H, G4 and RC. Okay, thanks Graham. Okay, getting some of the nets, I was half thinking I was looking at stream keys and stuff like that again, but my 2 computers do tend to struggle running everything at the same time as it is now. And noted that the hardware failure last week with a disconnected Ethernet plug from on the Facebook group. I've also had many Ethernet cables lose their tabs, and sometimes it just felt like a nice quick release mechanism for stopping something going to the bench. However, can't win them all. Just heads up, my Arden bridge to yourself and Trevor is still fine. I have upgraded the firmware and started having some local difficulties, which I'll elaborate more on when I get down to Trevor. But hopefully it won't affect you breaking out through me, or tunneling out through me, sorry, for the moment. Right, next to Philip, Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, G4 and RC over.
G4 and RC from G4 Carrier. Yeah, thanks for running it. I'll sign out at the end of the over as well. I'll probably listen towards the end of the day, but other than all to an adjacent building, then I can't guarantee that I can keep up and I might do all the things. So that I don't forget. Nothing much going on really. A little while since it's made. We actually have our president in South Sussex for a little bit of a while yet. One of our monthly meetings, face-to-face one coming up on the 2nd of April. So we still have our weekly FM net, and the development there will offer our discussion on our face-to-face one. On the last one, we did some predicted path projects for the UHF. I thought I might do as well to go right there to the coast instead of going up to Local Hill. I did that last Monday. It hated all that as well. So the hill there is apparently a long talk right in the way between me and one of the stations of contact. Theoretically, there would be nothing in the way from the down by the coast, but it didn't work. There we go. The other thoughts from my point of view was in my mind thinking about the 136 kilohertz band, and the obviously do have a proper antenna that is ridiculously long. It's 550 meters long or something, I think, isn't it? A quarter wave. I'm probably thinking about, the old receivers, these Sarah rods, didn't they? Presumably there's a perfectly good reason why you can't use transmitting, and presumably they ought to know it, and I couldn't think of it, but nobody seems to do that, so I'm sure there's a good reason. The only thing I would see is that in terms of trying to load up very short antennas, it looks like there's serious issues with the keeping the tuning right, and and also that very, very low impedance input output and tends to lose a lot of power in I think, feeders and grounds and things like that. That's the thing I was looking at. I was thinking, clearly if one could get that working, that should communicate quite well across the country. Maybe Radio 4 lets us use their antenna system. I think it's stopped using it at the end of this month, isn't it? So no doubt somebody else is going to grab it. But yeah, I don't know. Very good. So I'll sign now. I carry on listening from G4 Parallel.
G4KL, G4LC in the RAYNET-UK activity period. Okay, where do I start in reverse order? I believe at the end of the month, it might be March, might be April, Radio 4 programming might cease. My understanding is that the radio teleswitch service, which is carried over the top of the 198 kHz long wave signal, is going to carry on to 2025 because they can't get enough smart meters fitted in time, and shock horror, smart meters aren't working very well in some more northern locations. Their mobile phones here to tread, and the dedicated VHF network setup for smart metering is also not built out yet. So while we might lose programming off radio for the long wave, we won't be losing the RF from it for many months to come. 136 kHz is very particularly challenging. I've got more at 472 kHz, just below medium wave, where I've got a design for a 7 metre high loaded vertical, and if 7 metres sounds familiar, I think telescopic fishing rods. So a loaded fishing rod antenna with some very significant top-hat loading is apparently making a workable antenna. And I also recall that you can transmit from over a ferrite rod, but you are power limited, and that's where everything starts going wrong. So you can have a low-powered ferrite rod transmitting antenna, but if you go too hot, you saturate the ferrite and everything using the heat as RF. Again, designs available from Mr. Google if you research. Mostly about 1950s, 1960s, I think. Okay, thanks for that. It's probably given us more to talk about next week when you're back on. Spot for checking in today. Right, so let's see if your audio is any better. G4KUJ, G4 and RC.
G0DB, G4KUJ. That sounds all right to me coming back. Can you just check for me, please? From G4KUJ.
G4KUJ, G4 RC, yes, I'm clear. Carry on.
Right, the 4KRC, G4KRC, G4NRC from G4KUJ. And good afternoon, Greg, and everybody else. Nice to hear everyone this afternoon. Been noted about Arden. I've had some computer issues this week, so I believe my system is still working, but I don't actually know. I had my Windows 7 laptop, which is used for quite a lot of the radio stuff, finally died. After I'd noticed it slowing down very markedly. But we've got that sorted. I've got everything off it. Took it into the local man on Wednesday, who took out the hard disk and put a SSD in, and it's now whizzing around like a good, and managed to get that back on Friday. So all I've got to do is put everything on there. And of course the desktop, which is 10 years old, also decided to be a bit iffy this week, so new one of those was ordered on Thursday and is available on Monday, and it's another local firm who's built a bespoke one for me with extra USB boards, and I wanted to get that capability for Windows 11 to update to that, because the old one couldn't do that. But I also wanted a Windows 7 sort of back capability for some of the radio stuff, and the guy came up with a very interesting solution. I talked about virtual machines, and he said, I wouldn't bother with that with you if I were you. They are very troublesome. So why don't I put you an SSD in the second drive slot and make you two machines, one for 11, and one for 10. I think I may have said 7, but 11, 10 boots up on 11. If I want 10, I'll just hit F11 on switch on. Just take a break so I don't time out. And some good news on the Q100 front, but not finally there yet. I just wanted to go out and look at the dish. I think I mentioned that the wind in January has moved the dish, I thought. And when I looked at the bracket, which is one of these little, only a 6-inch standoff bracket, but the mast holder is just 8-inch steel sheet. It's not a right angle. And when I looked at it, the top bracket had moved about half an inch or more. So the wind must have been fairly hard on that. So I've straightened it up. I just need to get all the kit on and do the final tweaking. So that looks to be not a major problem, just a bit of... So back to you, Craig, from G4KUJ.
G4KUJ, G4NRC. Okay, thanks for that update. Part 100 is hopefully heading back in the right direction. I might ping you a link later to a try to reconcile everybody's demands for exercises internationally. I'm trying to figure out when Q100 is in, so I might also send a link to you, David, and see what dates you think are possible. Interesting bits about sharing SSDs rather than virtual machines. I think that's a bit of a Marmite one. If you don't need lots of different operating systems, then a spare SSD probably is the way to go. However, some of the people that promote it are running sort of many operating systems to try all sorts of things. Right, let's go to Ian. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray G4NRC, over.
G4NRC in the group, G3ZH, afternoon all. I wonder if, since you've mentioned Arden, I wonder if you might run a quick survey of what phones and routers are suitable for the service. I've just been looking at VoIP phones, and there are a multiplicity of them, but there's no way for me to know at this moment which ones might be suitable. The one that our Swiss friend used looked to be a bit expensive, but Trina mentioned one a few weeks ago, which I couldn't quite identify, that sounded a rather cheaper local product. Anyway, I will leave it at that. Unfortunately, with everybody bailing after one QSO, one over, it is reducing the number of people that might be able to answer this query. I know that you and Trevor both use Arden, and that would at least be a starting point for me. So from G3ZH, back to you.
G4NRC returning. Okay, yes. So if you go on the Arden website, that's called Romeo Echo Delta November mesh.org, he says optimistically, they have a table of supported routers. I'll do it in that order first because there's what routers are suitable for being flashed with the Arden firmware, so that they will be out of band appropriately on 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Phones is much easier. Any voice over internet phone or phone app or anything like that should work. But for routers, what I've tended to go for is microtic. That's Mike India Kilo Romeo Oscar Tango India Kilo, because they did some very, I say cheap, 30 to 50 quid at the time. Small four-port routers which are intended just for in-house use to act like any other router in your house, providing a Wi-Fi gate and stuff like that. So those will take harder and I can play with within the house and not need to find some hilltops to work off. I have a couple of more powerful panel microtic nodes which will go up on a stick. Every time I do path plotting, as per Philip's comment earlier, I find there's horrible obstructions between myself and Graham, or Graham and Dave, or whoever, so we're going to have to go out in the field and play with this, I'm sure, because it's not something we can weave into an existing event because of obstructions. Who would have thought that we were so close to sea level here in Chester? Okay, so that's the start for 10. The crew might be able to provide a bit of opinion as well as we get further down. So let's go to Adrian. It's Golf 1, Lima Tango Kilo for an RCM. G1LTK, G1LTK, Golf 1, Lima Tango Kilo for an RCM. For an RC, gone without a trace. Okay, let's go down. It looks like we've got work speed. It's another Brandmeister side. I didn't hear earlier, so we'll leave Aidan on the list for the next time around. Helen, Mike 0, Juliet Sierra Alpha, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, nothing serious today. It's not good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I am one of the people who's been out today on a half marathon. Exercise in the rain, the deep mud. That might be usually up where Mike is. And nights, but down at Stowmarket, it has been very wet. Unfortunately, although I've got a very muddy land river to clean at some point. But I was very successful with 11 members out. Covering the checkpoints. They had 26 checkpoints, but we didn't even attempt to cover all of them. Completely new course, never been done before. We've done 2 recce jobs on it to make sure we got the coverage properly. Unfortunately, on the first one, I left my phone on the front of the Land Rover and drove off. So I've had to buy another one. But there you go. Such is life, as they say. And I can't claim all expenses, apparently. Let's see. Right, working on the list. So I was interested in talking about his SSD. I've just changed an SSD in my desktop PC because I started to get disk errors. And rule one is first disk error, see if it does it again. Second disk error, change the SSD because it's dying. Unfortunately, I don't know. I use Disk Genius. Free download off the web. I can copy my system disk. While it's still running quite cleverly onto the new SSD, and it all works fine except I seem to have lost my Outlook contacts. Well, I went to send an email, I didn't know who I was sending it to, I just all the email addresses had disappeared. So there you go, such is life. I don't know if you picked it up on the call in at the interview, G7CIY, Keith called in at the end as an also ran, but I didn't hear you acknowledge him, although I heard him here. So G7CIY may yet be about. Back to you, Greg. G4 NRC and 0 JSA in the group.
0 JSA, G4 and RC. I didn't see him on the call-in. I did get some delayed audio from him as I was releasing the PT cancel with my overs there, which was confusing. But I have got him added on some of the logs, so we'll call him in after Drew. Changing SSDs for detected errors detected reminds me of a few years ago at work when I dared to play IT things. I called somebody's desk who says, I can't boot my computer up, it's not working, I've got the blue screen of death. So I thought this looks bad. Maybe if I turn it off and on again, I'll get it back. And then I asked him how many times. I said, "Good, had it done this?" And he told me it had been failing for about 2 months. He only decided to call for assistance when he couldn't turn it off and on again and get restore it. Understandably, all his data had been long gone, and it was deserved. But so be it. Okay, good. 11 members out. Groundworks. I'm also noticing that here in Chester, more right on the Cheshire-Wales border, where we've got some very high water levels in fields adjacent to the Dee. I don't think it's come from over the river top. I think it's coming from underneath. So, yes, not a day to go out four-wheeling in this. Right, next to Drew. Mike Zero, Mike Fox, Sierra, G4NRC. G4NRC, Mike Zero, Mike Fox, Sierra. Okay, we're going to start. Firstly, we managed to have a hold of our AGM for West Devon yesterday in a nice little cafe on the edge of Dartmoor. I actually managed to get, I think, 7 members, which for us is pretty good. I did not duck fast enough, so as of yesterday, I'm group controller. Which meant I had an interesting time on the website doing the renewals. I had to be in before the end of March. I'm guessing I'm going to have an upset registrations of the top. I haven't given them very much notice, but I was only authorised to do it yesterday at 10 o'clock, and I managed to get it on the website by 4 hours pressing up myself. The secondary to that is I heard A from East Devon on the net earlier, and I didn't get the call sign. I would love to get in touch with him because I'd love to liaise with East Devon and find out what they're doing and whether we can do some work together. I tried the official channels and haven't got anywhere. On Larden, I've just had time to get off work recently and just check all the Larden stuff is still up and running. I did flash a couple of my boxes, which is also my protect, or however you pronounce it, to the latest firmware. If somebody wants a voice over IP phone and wants to cover the shipping costs, I did buy 10 and I really didn't want 10. So I can probably come directly to me via email or something. I can probably arrange something to help you out on that one. And that's probably it for this round from M0MFS. Mike Foxtrot, Sierra, G4NRC. Okay, yes, well, glad you got your AGM done, even if it did have an unfortunate consequence for you. And, yeah, I've got to try and get my group renewals done, but I have covered it open until the end of April to do them. I just had a different problem in not having enough to actually make an AGM for it. So we have a repeat AGM in 2 weeks' time. I have got enough paperwork to get everybody renewed going forward. I'm sure that Ian has taken note of the possibility of having a spare phone for P&P, and David Mike Zero Tango Charlie is hopefully still listening and can call you host net and agree methods of communications. Is there anything else from that? And firmware, yes. I updated all of my systems because I couldn't get the GLI-net travel router that Graham and Trevor have been playing with working. Did that and found that on the Microtics it's taken the 5 MHz bandwidth facility away in the latest firmware version, which has meant I can only have 10 MHz. It's great, it now works with GLI-net. I now have 7 Arden nodes all capable of talking to each other. But going from 5 MHz to 10 MHz does reduce the seamless noise levels, and that has hurt some of my in-house links with my firewalls. So, yeah, don't win everything on a firmware update, but still got them all in. Right, let's see if Tim's still with us from whichever side of Brandmeister call from. Golf 7, Charlie India Yankee, G7CIY, G4NRC.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Greg. I hope you can hear me. I've been listening. I haven't got to lots of it. I think Alan might have said what we're up to today. Yes, so I've been often enjoying this little event, but it's lovely to hear yourself, Greg. Hopefully I'm getting through at the moment. Actually, Greg, she's quite nasty. She's having a feel about it. For an RC returning to Golf Sam Charlie and Yankee. Yes, got you that time, Keith. No problem. Was a little bit anomalous that I didn't see you appear on the dashboards. Either side, to be fair, my Brandmeister up before RAYNET server 1. When I released the PCT and a couple of my overs, I was getting my audio sent back to me, which was claims coming from you, so haven't typed into the log, so glad I got you in. And loud and clear, no problems whatsoever on that call. Good to hear you again. Right, that's the first round complete, and we shall hit the second round. Back to the top, Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC from GAEY. Ah, well, I've got a little list here, as they say. Yeah, I was interested by the slight hiatus that some supermarkets had yesterday with an overnight software update that actually made them only able to take chip and pin or cash. No other systems were working and no deliveries either because that system was down. So it's not just power losses that cause these problems, it can be software updates. Back in the days when I actually worked for a living, we had means to pick up all the local VHF stations with a rotator, and we actually got medium wave on, as you say, one of those 7 or 9 metre fibre fishing poles with a whole roll of copper wire wound in a helix on that with an on at the bottom. I reckon that would handle transmit certainly to something like 10 watts. I don't know whether you want to go much higher than that. But really, if you're going to have ferrite rod, it needs to be a lot of ferrite rods really in a bundle. I think that's how they do it. Yeah, probably not a good one. I'm just in the microscopic router. Before lockdown, we did actually get sort of contracted, if that's the word, to help with the white space rural internet feeds where they were getting difficulties and dropouts on 2.4 gigs. And it's a real pain trying to solve things like that. We went out with an RS Play and a laptop, looking to see where the interference was coming from, but it was not easy. Yeah, I don't mind a bit of drizzle. I still haven't got all the mud washed off from February's flood wading I did on our one and only event. And yeah, the weirdest failures we had at work were a desktop PC that kept failing regularly. Couldn't work out why until we turned the box upside down and found that somebody was using a fridge magnet to hold a piece of paper underneath the machine, and it was neatly wiping the hard drive over a slow period of time from GAEY.
I Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, okay, that definitely goes as the realm of a new one. We do have people who decorate their machines with all sorts of things. I kind of like the SSDs because they're lighter, but I don't like them so much. Some of my portable hard drives, for the phrase, are still mechanical, and it's just a nice feeling to put your finger on the case and feel a vibration and go, yeah, it's spinning. It might not be talking to me sensibly, but it is at least spinning. Onto the bundle, yes, I think I've seen stacks of 3 or even 6 because you need to get the cross-sectional area to spread out the magnetic field over all that ferrite and avoid driving with the rods into saturation. So yeah, I'm sure it is in that it can be done, but it's not in the pretty mode. With the limits, however, on 136 and 472 kilohertz being 1 watt and 5 watts ERP, together with the ridiculously low radiation resistance, it does mean you do need to rally it. If you want to get anywhere near full power, and obviously you need to rally it with a kilowatt. So ferrite rod will not be very happy with that. People are making things work with much lower power levels, which is something we should generally encourage. And I do even recall when 70 centimetres are able to be working most of your local repeaters with just half a watt of a high PF1 radio phone. And on that blast from the past, who's next on the list? It's back to Trevor, G4KUJ, G4NRC.
G4NRC from G4KUJ, could also be described as a blast from the past, I think. VoIP phones, I have only ever used ground stream phones over about the last 10 years or so, I suppose. Two models, the GP2000, which is a 4-line machine, and the GP2010, which is 4-line machine, but it's got more presets for preset dialing and things like that. I have never had any trouble with any of them. They're extremely easy to program, and they just work. And as I say, certainly the 2010 I've got here has been running for 10 years or more, and I'm sure it wasn't new then. And the one I bought recently for something like £13 was a 2000, and I also picked up for under £7 a 2000 without, obviously, the power supply, without a handset, but factory reset, and that works a treat. So you can use that hands-free by using a bit of tape to stick the tub in the tab down. As far as the routers I'm using on Arden, the main one is a GLI AR750, which is very old, and I do have a service on my sort of DMR portable unit to replace it with a slightly better one. That has 2.4 and 5. So all the meshing locally is on 2.4, but I can access it on 5 gigs. And I've got two AR300M-16s, which are current models, which I think I bought for £30 ago or slightly less. And I just downloaded the software, did the update, which is built into the 300, and they just work. And they're sitting around the house working as pre. So I haven't updated to the latest software yet, but they've been running now for a few months continuously, 24/7. So I hope that answers some of Ian's questions. G4NRC, and thanks for running the net, G4KUJ.
KJ, G4NRC returning. Okay, thanks, Trevor. Yeah, I've used, when we still have RAYNET phones and other VoIP phones here in the house. I had Grandstream initially and had some problems with it very early on. We're talking naughty here. So it didn't have a stunning reputation at one point, but it has been pulled back, and I can't focus on the one I bought. Mentioned by you, which was a 4-line unit. But yeah, I've got that stream now, and it worked fine for the quick test. I gave it an Arden. I just ran out of power supplies for it, and that is possibly the different thing to look at with phones and possibly routers. But depending on your router and phone, it might want 5 volts, it might want 12 volts. You really do have a little bit more to think about when powering this lot in a coherent manner. So you go for a 12-volt system which will work directly on the microtic routers and then have a 12 to 5-volt dropper to keep the phone powered up. We have lots and lots of noisy switch mode power supply wall warts. So all food for thought. I'm sure Ian's going to set that down. Just ahead of the game, Ian just received your request to pass your email address onto Brew, which I should do so post-net. So over to you. Golf 3, Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC and Group P3ZHX. Thank you, Greg. I have noted your remarks, and Trevor, thank you, Trevor. And I just needed a starting point. I'm going to try and set up a network within our group. I need to have a first point that I know is probably going to work before I dive in. As regards computer woes, Trevor has my sympathy. I've thrown half a glass of water into this laptop that I'm using here, and it worked for about a minute and then started closing down. So I opened it up and took everything apart. Next morning after it dried out, I started to put it together, and in the process I broke the connector to the keyboard. So I'm now running it with a keyboard balanced on top, plugged into its USB port. And it's ironic that the only thing that isn't working is the keyboard. With the keyboard itself is perfectly okay, it's just the connector. I've got a new motherboard to stick in, which I should do as soon as I've got myself safe in case Microsoft decide to avoid my license for the Windows. Yes, they do permit one change, I believe, but I don't want to find out the hardware if I've got two. Anyway, thanks for all that. Software updates. There was a night when Vodafone changed their access method to the network, and my company ran a large system of machine-to-machine units, and the whole lot went off overnight. And as it's a burglar alarm system, this did bring a lot of red flags up, and we had to get them to stop back again. So it isn't necessarily the software in your equipment that causes problems. And finally, one of my colleagues used to put everything he was working on onto a disk, put it into his bag, throw it into his car, go home, and he could never even get it. He got home. After a few weeks of this, he realised what was happening. When he threw the bag into the car, he was going up against the speaker, door speaker, and that had a large leakage from the speaker fields, and that was wiping the discs. So all these things are sent to try us. Anyway, thanks for running the net, Greg, and thank you for working on it, Trevor, and hope to speak to you all in on another day. Good evening all, G3ZX.
G3ZX, G4NRC. Okay, thanks, Ian. It's been useful. Good exchange and information, buddy. Let's see if we can get Adrian again. Golf 1, William Tango Kilo, G1LCK, G4NRC, over. G1LCK, G1LCK, G4NRC, over. G4NRC, with that no will go down to Alan for a final. Mike 02 Sierra Alpha, G4NRC, over.
I was going to say something else, but I forgot what it is. So I'm sorry. I'm going to have to call it a day. And I wish you all best through, and thank you for running it with me. And hopefully I'll be on again next week. Back to you, Greg. G4NRC, M0JSA Group.
M0JSA, G4NRC, and this is probably a good reason why we shouldn't put the log live up online anywhere, because you'll be able to get hints. Okay, thanks a lot. Talk to you next week. That leaves us with 2 to go. We might even finish before 5 o'clock. So, Drew, any follow-ups for yourself? Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC and 0 and FS. Yeah, just a few. I've got Yale-Link T22s. I mean, there's a bunch of 10. And they're cheap and cheerful, but they work really well. On the Arden front, I've got a bit of everything, but mostly microtech. I've got a HAP AC Lite, which has PoE and drives a Ubiquiti Nano Station. I've got a HAP 2, which doesn't have PoE, so I've got injectors driving a pair of M5 Ubiquiti Nano Stations. And then I just recently forked out for a HAP AC3, which is a external antenna Wi-Fi router, which I'm running most of the tunneling code on, and that's been doing really well. Just FYI, in the house, I'm 100% Ubiquiti. So I've got a Ubiquiti Dream Machine that runs twin fibers from 2 separate ISPs into the house. And then I've got a couple of Ubiquiti PoE switches and 5 access points. I live in a really old 1800s house, which is very solid and Wi-Fi doesn't go through. So I end up with 4 access points spread around the house, which are all cabled, and that works really well for me. So I keep my business stuff on Ubiquiti out of the box, and then when the Ubiquiti stuff falls off the end, it gets available with for Arden. So I think we've talked about this in the past, but I think it's probably time we had a little breakaway Arden session somewhere, one maybe, and try to pull some people in, try to come up with some standards and some way of doing things. Anyhow, nothing else. I'm just going to give you a chance to finish before 5 from M0 MSS. Zero Mike Foxtrot Sierra G4 and RC. Yeah, the microtic lights and FAP lights are my go-tos. The Arden ones, as you say, just walk out of the box, and that's the compatibility issues sorted. If Ian goes to the Arden website, you can see what works, and because it all got the same firmware flashed onto it, it just works. But I've got a HAP light, which is meant to be a gateway onto the full net, which is still resisting me doing what it should do, and that's another challenge. Yeah, notice again on the breakaway Arden session, I need to have, I'm not even going to say what we need to do to make sure that happens. Yeah, noted, and if nobody else does it, then I'll wind up doing it. Okay, Keith, from yourself. Golf 7 Charlie and the Yankee, G4 and RC, over. I think G4 and RC, I think so. Someone said to me that I was coming up with the wrong call sign, but hopefully it's okay. If you're joining it, I'll join again next week. And just about 30 seconds before your 5 o'clock deadline. 73 all, and okay, just 70 away. G7CIY, the 4 RC, yeah, it's my logger that turns into a Puma 5, so I'll lose my mind now and anything could happen. Okay, thanks everybody. We will bring that to a close, and then if there are any small conversations, please do carry on with them. But meanwhile, thanks everybody for taking time out of your schedules to participate this afternoon. Be careful, have a good week, and until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time, I will close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net on 50235331 RAYNET server and 23531 Pheonix and Brandmeister, and return those talk rooms to being an open net rather than a directed net. Sim total, this is Chief RC now closing and reversing sign normal course sign of pulse 0.